Hello everyone, Alan here. Good morning. I can see people joining in. So you're all very welcome to the 10 plus year old Code Along this morning. This morning we're going to be doing a Scratch project, but it's a really cool project. It's called SpaceX Rocket Lander. Um, so I'll just give you a little preview of what we're going to be doing. So step number one here is just some information about SpaceX rockets and a little GIF of one landing. So SpaceX rockets, there's actually one launched yesterday that delivered some astronauts up to the International Space Station. So SpaceX rockets, what's different about them is when they launch, they're actually able to land back down themselves on the Earth. So they land both on landing pads, on the ground, but also they can land on ships out at sea, which is really cool. You can see the animation there. So we're gonna make a Scratch project of a game where you control the rocket coming in, and you need to land it on the ship, but you also need to land it at the correct angle, because if you land it at if it's too tilted, too far tilted to the side, it's going to explode. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So I'm just going to give people some time to gather and get ready. We have 23 people logged in so far. And as usual, I'll just go over the kind of instructions of how these code alongs work. So if this is your first code along, you're all very welcome. How the code alongs work is we have a tab here with the instructions of the project. So we're going to work through these step by step. You will be seeing me in this little box up here. And when I'm demonstrating a step, if you want to click on full screen, you'll get a nice clear picture of my screen and see the code that I'm adding. And then when I tell you to, when I say go ahead and do the step, you come out of full screen. You'll have a second tab open with Scratch, is what we're going to be doing today. You'll have a second tab open with Scratch. You'll click across to that, go put in the code. You can come back and forth between the tabs if you need to check you've added in the code correctly. And then ultimately you'll come back onto this screen and just mark the step as done. That's for all our coders that are logged in. We probably have some people viewing us that aren't logged in. You're all very welcome. You'll be able to do absolutely everything apart from clicking on the done and getting the points and badges, but you're welcome to join us today and work through the code along. Okay, so this is a complicated enough project. If I scroll right down to the bottom, the last couple of steps are just some videos about SpaceX, but it's a complicated enough project. We're even going to try and maybe, if we have time, where you've only got a certain amount, this is the project here, you'll only have a certain amount of fuel and you'll run out of fuel. You have to land it before your fuel runs out. I'm not sure if we're going to have time to get through everything during the code along, but if we don't, it's fine. The project is there. You can just keep on working through the steps yourselves till we get all the way through. As usual, you get 250 points for completing the code along today, and we will do I always get that wrong, the left and right, because I got to see a mirror image. We're going to be giving away a microbit. So a little small coding computer that you can code LEDs, buttons, loads of different sensors, speaker, microphone. Really cool, really fun to play with. You can even get other accessories. That's an autonomous car that's got sensors at the front for sonar to detect where it is, how far it is away from something. You can actually program it by putting a microbit in it. So microbits are really cool. We'll give one of those away at the end. Okay, there's 4 minutes past. I see we've 25 coders ready to go. So we're going to get going. Okay, so the first step here is just about the SpaceX Falcon 9 rockets. So I'm just going to mark that as done. And we'll move on to the second step. So I've actually created a starter project for this code along. So it has the backdrop added, it has a sprite for the SpaceX rocket itself, and then it just has a very kind of simple ship, which is just kind of a black rectangle. So that's the ship, and that's on top of the sea, which is the green sea there. So if you want to go ahead and click on the link in step number 2, it'll open up the Scratch website, the project editor with the starter project loaded. So you'll see you have the backdrop, and you'll see you've got the two sprites. So the backdrop has kind of blue of the sky and kind of dark green of a sea, and then it has the rocket and the ship as well, so Falcon 9 and ship. So if you want to go ahead and click on that and come back and mark the step as done. And I'll just give people time to do that. Excuse me. So we've 15 people already have done that. Well done. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to program gravity. So if I open up the little animation here, we're going to, at the moment the rocket is pointing to the left. We're going to make it point vertical. We're going to start it at the top and we're going to make it fall down. So we're going to change the Y value of it. So Y is for up and down. Change the Y value so to act as gravity to pull it down. And we're also going to change the size. So at the moment it's quite large. We're going to change it to 25%. So if you want to go into full screen, I'll show you how we're going to do this. We're going to go into the events toolbox and drag in a when green flag clicked. I'll zoom in. And we're going to go into the looks toolbox and get a set size to 100%. We'll change that to 25. Then we want to make it start up in the middle, but at the top. So if we get a go to XY, so the X value is for left and right. So if we say 0, that's right bang in the middle of the stage area. And what did we say? 200 for Y. So 200 is up the top. Oop. Click on the green flag. You'll see it's gone up to the top here and kind of shrunk. Now we want it to point in direction 0 degrees. So again, in the motion toolbox, we've got a point in direction 90. And we can click on that. We can change it to 0, or we can just drag the arrow so it's pointing up at 0. Click on the green flag. We'll see it's that code come into effect. And then we're going to say forever change Y by -5. So this is going to pull it down. Oh, my camera's gone again. I'm having problems with my camera this morning. It went in the first one, the first code along this morning for the 6 to 9 year olds. It's after going again this morning. I do have a backup camera, hello, but I can't put my head in the screen, but that's no loss to anyone really. Okay, so we're going to, what was I saying? Yeah, we're going to say forever change Y by -5. Change Y by -5. So let me switch back across to Scratch and into control, grab a forever block. Sorry, I'll blow up the toolbox. So grab a forever block and then into motion. Now we need to be careful here about which one we drag in. We want to change Y by 10 because we're going to keep on changing it, changing the value from whatever it currently is to, and we're going to take away 5. We don't want to use the set Y to block because that just sets it to a number. It doesn't change it. It just sets it to that number each time you run it. So change Y, I'm going to say, I think it was -5. -5, yeah. So now if I run this code, I'll click on the green flag, we will see the rocket start at the top, vertically shrink to 25%, and then fall down. So if you want to go ahead, come out of full screen if you're in it, and go ahead and do that step. I'm going to mark it done myself, and I'm going to see if I can fix my camera. And I'll give some people some time to do it. So that was step number 3, program gravity. I can see 15 coders have completed that step already, so well done if you've completed this step. I'll call out some of the names while we're waiting. So we've got Piper 2021, Coder 55, Nicknam, Vinya, H. Kiyoshi, Code Ninjas myself, JSpace, Flower 123, Ozteen, Miguel, Maraid, Tech Support, Tara, Landlord 656, Ruby Red. Have I missed any? Luna, Tomry, Carol 2000, Lots of people. Coding Club. Don't think I've missed anyone. If I've missed, let me make this smaller. If I've missed anyone, I'll call you out as I see you come in. We've also added in a little react button here. So at any stage, if you want to give a green thumbs up or a red thumbs down, if you're having a little bit of a problem, or if you want to just do a lol or do something like that, you can pop it in there. Okay, so we've got 21 coders have completed that, so well done. As usual, let me see, is this back working? Oh, I'm back. So as usual, if I'm going too fast for you, it's no problem. Just take your time and the project stays there. You'll always have access to it. So you can just take your own time, go through it, you know, in your own time and work then through the steps one by one, and you'll be able to do it. If you want, and I can see some people going ahead, I see a lot of people using the React buttons. If you want to go ahead of the speed I'm doing, if you want to go ahead and do the future steps, go right ahead and work through them. If you come across a problem, just hang on till I catch up with you, and hopefully you might see what the you know, where the problem happens, what the issue is. Okay, so moving on to step number 4, which is to program the booster. So we've programmed gravity to pull it down. Now we want to program the booster. So when we press the up arrow, we want to make the rocket go up, as we can see it here in the little animation. So all we're going to do, it's quite simple, is we're going to say when green flag clicked, we're going to put a forever block in to keep on forever checking if the key up arrow is pressed. So the up arrow on your keyboard, if that's pressed, then what we want to do is move 8 steps. So make it move up. So let's add in that code. So flick across to Scratch, go into full screen if you want to see me do this. So we're just going to drag this to the side somewhere because we want a bit of space. Go into events, when green flag clicked, into control, and get a forever block. And in here we're going to get an if then, still in control, and we're going to put that inside the forever block. So in the condition of the if then. So what the if thens, what they do is they check a condition. You say what the condition is. So we're going to say if the up arrow is pressed, that's the condition. If that's true, then whatever we put inside the code block is going to happen. So let me go and go into the sensing toolbox, and we've got a key space pressed, and you'll see it's the same shape as the gap of the condition of the if then. So we can just drag and drop that in like so. And what you can do is you can click on the little white arrow and choose what key you want to program. So this is up arrow. So the condition is this blue one. So if the up arrow is pressed, then, oh, we've lost my camera again. So if it's up arrow is pressed, we're going to say, go into the motion toolbox, get a move 10 steps, and we'll say 8 steps. So let me try this out in the stage area. If I click on the green flag and I'm pressing my up arrow, and you can see each time I press it, it moves up 8 steps. So the difference here is, if I pull these alongside, is the gravity is pulling down at -5 at a rate of -5. But our booster, when we press the up arrow, is moving at 8. So 8 is greater than 5. So that's why when I press up and hold it down, it actually keeps on going. It goes up. It doesn't just stop midair. It actually, it's the booster is more powerful than the gravity. So that's the way we're programming it. So if you want to go ahead and do that step, I will go and mark my step as done and get my badge, pickup truck. And I'll see if I do the old turn off my camera, give it a few seconds and turn it back on. Seems to be overheating or something like that. I don't really know why it's coming off. Let's see if it comes back up. Oh, here I am. I wonder how long it'll last this time. We'll see. Okay, so that was step number 4, program booster. And we have 19 coders have completed it so far, so well done. I can see some coders are going ahead. No problem. The next step, what we're going to do, and I'll give people time, I'm just kind of talking about it for the moment. The next step is we're going to paint the rocket thrust. So just like in the animation at the start, I think you'll see that you can see the rocket thrust, the actual flames come out. We're gonna program that. So at the moment, the rocket will go up when we press the up arrow, but we want to make it look a little bit better. So when you press it, the up arrow, we want some flames to come out the bottom to make it a bit more realistic. Okay. So where are we at? We're at 19 coders. I'll maybe wait till 20 have completed that, and then I'll move on to step number 5. So in these code-alongs, whenever there's a step where you need to paint something or create something, what I would recommend is that you do it basic enough. You don't get too elaborate, spend too much time on it. You can always come back and make it better. The goal or the idea of these code-alongs is just to learn how to do things, to learn new things, to have a bit of fun as well. You don't want to spend ages making very elaborate flames. Spending 10 minutes, not because we're gonna need to move on, but you can always come back and make it better in your own time. So we're up to 20 coders have completed step number 4. So we're going to move on to step number 5. And as I was saying, we're going to just draw in the flames, and then what we're going to do is we're going to at the start we're going to set the rocket to be a normal costume. So I'm after losing myself again. All right, I think I'll just leave that camera off. We're going to set the costume just to be the normal rocket, so there's no flames, and then when in a later step we're going to actually show the thrust when we pressed on the up arrow. So first let's design or let's add in a costume. So I'm going to switch across to Scratch. So if you're following me, go into full screen, and I'm going to make sure that the Falcon 9 sprite is selected, and then click on costumes up the top here, and this shows me the one costume that's been added so far. So I'm going to zoom in on that. Here it is here. I'm going to actually rename this to be normal, so I know that this is the normal costume, so there's no flames coming out of this one. And then I want to duplicate it, so right click and duplicate, and it creates a second one. It calls it normal 2, but we're going to call it thrust. So THRUST, thrust. So we've got a normal sprite and a thrust sprite. Now, just to show you, I have the thrust sprite selected. It's got the blue border around it, and I'm going to go and design it now. So, sorry, I'm flicking around. Okay, so you can see my tools here. So very simply, first of all, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Zoom in, because I just want to get this bottom area, and I'm going to just paint. So select the paint tool brush and choose a red. There's a nice red there, and I'm just kind of going to do a flame shape like that, not too elaborate, make that a little fatter. I'm going to fill it in, go back to the paint tool brush and get an orange, maybe bring up the saturation a little bit, and do the same type of shape inside it but smaller, and I'll just fill that in that way. And then finally I'm going to get a yellow and do the same thing. It's just smaller version. That's quite simple, but it kind of looks good. Once you zoom out, you'll see you've got flames coming out of it. So once I do that, I'm going to then add in my code. So what is the code? We're going to, underneath the green flag clicked, I'm going to put in a switch costume to normal. So I want to start off, so this is in, move these across. So into the Lux toolbox and get a switch costume 2 and put that underneath any green flag clicked. It doesn't really matter which one. And we want to say normal. So it starts off at normal. And also when it's falling down, we want it just to be normal again, because you might change it. So let me get another one of these, and inside the forever block. So you're bringing in 2 switch costume to normal, one underneath the green flag and one inside the forever underneath change Y by -5. The reason we put the second one in is when we press the up arrow, we're actually going to change it to the thrust costume. And then when you release the up arrow, we want it to change back to the normal costume, and this one will do the job for us. So I'll just check there. Now it's not doing the thrust costume just yet because we need to program that, but it is the normal costume. So if you want to go ahead, if you're in full screen, come on out of full screen and go and do those steps. So you're going to go in to the costumes of the Falcon 9 sprite. You're going to rename the costume from Falcon 9 to normal. Then you're going to right click on the costume and click on duplicate, which will create a copy. That copy you want to select and rename that to thrust, THRUST. You might want to call it something else, flame, fire, rocket, on, anything like that. Just a name of the costume that lets you know which one it is, you know, something that makes sense. Then you're going to use the paint tools and just down the bottom, draw in a bit of fire coming out. Again, don't do anything too elaborate. Just do something that will do the job for the moment, that will look pretty good. And then we'll move on to the next step. So that is step number 5. And we have 15 coders have done that. So well done, everyone. I'll give you some more time to do that step. So again, you are creating a copy of the costume for the rocket. And in the copy, you're going to draw in the flame. You want to rename your costumes to be something that makes sense to you. So I call them normal and thrust. And then once you've set up your new costume, you're going to go into your code and you're going to drag a switch costume to normal and put it underneath the green flag. And then another switch costume to normal and put that inside the forever underneath the change y by -5. And then in the next step, we're actually going to program the thrust costume to show when we press the up arrow. It's quite an easy step. We're just going to be adding in one block of code, but I'll give a little bit of time for people just to get step number 5 done. We're up to 17 coders have completed it so far, so well done, everyone. And just after thinking, I didn't really give you a good view of an introduction to the project, of the full project of what we're going to be doing. So we're programming the up arrow, or we have programmed the up arrow, but we're also going to program the left and right arrows, so you can tilt it and make it move to the left and to the right. And then we're going to program the ship at the bottom to slowly move across the ocean. And the idea will be you'll need to land the rocket on top of the ship, but at the correct angle, so it can't be too tilted to the side. And we're going to do a kind of program, a little explosion animation as well. So hopefully we'll have time for all that. We'll get through as much as we can. If we don't get it up through all of it in the hour, then you can just keep on working away and finish the project. All the instructions are there, so you should be able to follow them. Okay, so let's move on to step number 6. So we're going to show the rocket thrust. So we can see here in the animation, it's just showing the costume. So it's easy enough. All we need to do, I'll actually show you in Scratch if I go into the code. All we need to do is in the code where we have the if key up arrow pressed, we just want to go into the Lux toolbox and get a switch costume to thrust. Put that in there. So when I click on the green flag, actually let me bring this up. So when I click on the green flag and I press the up arrow, you can see the flame is coming out. And like, it's very simple. It's very easy to do that, but it's, you know, that effect just makes it, you know, that much better. It makes it look a lot cooler. So if you want to go ahead and do that, so you're just going in and inside the if key up arrow pressed then block, what you are doing is you're just going to add a switch costume to thrust. So anytime you press on the up arrow, it's going to move it up, but it's also going to show the flames, that thrust costume coming out the bottom. So let me mark my step as done. I got some hockey sticks. So we've 17 coders have completed that already. That's brilliant. So it looks like most people are moving ahead of me. Well done, everyone. I'll give it just a little bit more time on that step and then we'll move on to the next one. So the next couple of steps, what we're going to do is we're going to program to move left and right. So we're going to program the left arrow and the right arrow. I think probably the best way to do these is duplicate the code rather than drag them in one by one, because the code is actually quite similar to the code for the up arrow. Sorry, excuse me. I was speaking for an hour doing the code along this morning for the 6 to 9 and my voice is starting to get a little bit tired. Okay, so what are we up to? We're up to 19 coders. Oh, I'm going to wait till that gets to 20. I think we've 28 people working away today. So once that gets to 20, I've completed step number 6. We'll move on to step number 7. So we're going to start programming moving left and moving right. We're getting through this really well. So we're going to move left, we're going to move right, then we're going to program the ship sprite, then we're going to land on the ship, so another if then there, and then we're going to program the explosion, which is one of my favorite parts of this. So explode if your angle isn't correct, and then explode if you touch into the sea, because the aim is to land on the ship. Okay, we're still at 19, but I think we will move along. So we're going to program to move left. So it's quite easy. I'm going to switch across to Scratch here and create a little bit of space, maybe drag this down. So the easiest thing I think for this, because we're using the when green flag clicked, the forever, the if key pressed, then we're using all these blocks again. So just to duplicate this whole section here. So the way I'm doing that is at the very top block of this group of blocks, I'm right clicking and saying duplicate, and that creates a copy of them, and I can just drag and drop them anywhere I want. So I have them here. So now we're going to program this to be the left arrow. So I'm just going to change this to left arrow, and I'm going to get rid of the move 8. Actually, do I need that or not? Let me just check. So we want to turn 3 degrees and move 4 steps. So actually, I do need the move steps block. So I'll leave that there. I'll change it to 4. And I'm going to go into my motion toolbox, and I'm going to get a turn anti-clockwise 15 degrees. So the first turn 15 degrees block, that's clockwise. That's if you're moving to the right. The second turn 15 degrees, so the third block in the motion toolbox is the turn anti-clockwise, and that's for moving to the left. So that's the one I want, and I'll put that just above the move 4 steps, and I think I'm going to change it to 3. So that's what the code says. Change it to 3, and then it already has the switch costume to thrust, because we want to show this because we'll be firing the boosters. So I'm going to click on the green flag. There's my up arrow, and here's my left. So you can see I can tilt it, and you can make it move to the left. And when we program the right arrow, actually I may as well show you to do the right arrow because it's very similar. So while you're watching, all you need to do again, here, let me create some space. So you go on over there. So for the left arrow that we've programmed, we can just duplicate that again. And we'll change it to right arrow. And I'm going to move my 4 steps up above this so I can break out this bottom one. And throw it away because I don't want it. And then into the motion toolbox, and this time the turn clockwise degrees, so the second block. And I'll put that inside here. So you can see for the left arrow, we're turning anti-clockwise. For the right arrow, we're turning clockwise, and we'll go 3 degrees. So now, when I click my code, I can move it left and right, and I can kind of control it that way, and I can make it crash. So if you want to go ahead and do that, this is step 7 and step 8 in the instructions. So if you want to go ahead and do those now, I'll mark mine done. So step 7. Oh, for the outdoor series, nice. I'm after getting the toilet paper badge. And mark step 8 done as well, because that's the right arrow. And I got a Halloween one. Okay, so that's 2 steps I'm after doing there. So I'm going to give you some time to do those, a couple of minutes to do those. So I find the best way to do these, because the up arrow, the code for the up arrow is very similar to what we want. I think the best thing to do is to just duplicate the code for the up arrow, the group of code, by right clicking and choosing duplicate. And then once you do that, you want to change it so it says if key left arrow pressed, and then you want to drag in a turn anti-clockwise 15 degrees block, but change it to 3 degrees. So that goes above the move 8 steps, and then you change the move 8 steps to be move 4 steps. And then once you've got that done, click on the green flag and make sure that your code for the left arrow is making it move just slightly, but more importantly to rotate around and show the thrust. If it is, then it's working, so brilliant. Then you can go on and you can duplicate that code. So that whole block of code for the left arrow, if you duplicate that again, but this time change it to right arrow, you're going to want to get rid of the turn anti-clockwise degrees that's in there. So you can just drag it out, drag the move 4 steps back in, and then drag in a turn anti-clockwise degrees. And that should be turn anti-clockwise, turn clockwise. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up myself. So turn clockwise 3 degrees. So for right arrow, turn clockwise, and then it'll be move 4 steps, which should already be that because you duplicated it. And again, once it's in, you need to test your code, make sure it's working. So even though you did duplicate it, you did make a couple of changes. So just make sure that you're able to turn right. So it should rotate and kind of move a little bit right as well. So once you have those done, then you can see in the game that you can actually start controlling your rocket, tilting it, firing the booster, and moving it around. So at the moment, our ship is stationary, and we haven't programmed anything to detect that our rocket is landing on it. So it'll just fall straight through, but we will get to that in later steps. So how are we doing? So step 8. Brilliant. We've got 19 coders already have completed step 8. So well done. 20 coders. Piper just finished it and gave a green thumbs up. Okay, so Honey Badger here, I'm after seeing this giving a red thumbs down. So maybe you're having a little bit of a problem working through it. I'm just seeing if I see you marking any steps done or not yet. So if you are having a problem, Honey Badger, just take your time. Take your time. You don't need to do it at the same speed as I'm doing it. I'm just trying to get as much done as we can in the hour, but you have as much time as you want to work through the steps. You will have all the information. So each part of the project is broken into a step, and then each step will show you what should happen and then the code to add for it. So just take your time if you're having any issues. And if something's not working correctly, you just need to check your code is the same as the instructions. So just go through it one by one block by one block. Okay, so let's move on to step number 9. And that's we're going to program the ship sprite. So all we're going to do is we're going to make it go to a random position. So that'll put it at a random position on the stage area. But we're going to set the Y position of it to be minus 160, which is down here at the bottom. So that makes it start off in a random position at the bottom. Then we're going to say forever, make it move very slowly, so 0.25 steps, and then if on edge bounce. So if it touches off the side of the stage, it'll just bounce and keep on moving back and forth. Okay, so let's, first of all, if you want to go to full screen, so you can see my code I'm adding, I'm going to select the ship sprite here. So that has the blue box, the blue border around it. You can see it has no code just yet. So we're going to add some code to it. So what did we say? We said when green flag clicked, go to random position and set Y to minus 160. So these are both in the motion toolbox. So go to random position. So you'll see here in the stage area, each time I click this, it'll just go to a random position on the screen. So it's random X position and random Y position. But what we want to do is we want to actually set the Y position. So we're going to set that to be minus 160, which is down along the bottom here. So now when I click on the green flag, it starts in a random position, but it's always at the bottom where we want it. Okay. And then what did we say? We said forever move 0.25 steps. So into the control toolbox and forever. And then back into motion. And we're going to say move, not 10 steps, but 0.25. And then still in the, where is it? Still in the motion toolbox, we're going to use an if on edge bounce block and put that inside the forever as well. So now, when we run our code, I'm going to make that go a little bit faster just to show you. So you see there, it's when it touches the side, it's actually bouncing. So it's going to move back and forth, but that's a little bit too fast. I suppose if you want to make the game harder, you can make it go faster, but I'm going to make it go nice and slow because that's how SpaceX would have programmed the ship. I think the ship and the rocket are actually communicating with each other, and the ship is trying to align itself so that the rocket, you know, give it as easy as possible landing. So if you want to go ahead and add in that code now. So again, this is code you're adding to the ship sprite. So make sure you add it into there. I'm going to mark mine as done. Get a badge from the Spring series, Cloud Rainbow. And I'll wait for my steps to update to see how everyone is doing. So brilliant, 19 coders have completed it already. So well done. Let me go up to the top and see how everyone's getting on. I can see Striped Guitar is working away, is already up to the fuel step. So hopefully we'll get to the fuel step today. And the fuel step is, you would have noticed when I was kind of messing around showing you moving left and right, that I could basically stay up there as long as I want because I've unlimited fuel. But the fuel step is we're going to add in a variable fuel and set it to say 60. And then each time we either go, you know, press up arrow, left arrow, or right arrow. So each time we use the rocket, the booster, it'll actually take some value from that fuel variable. And then when it gets to 0, you've no more fuel. So you better hope you're lined up. I'm ready to land. Okay, so we're up to 22. Okay, brilliant. So now we're going to move on to step number 10, and this is where we're going to land on the ship. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in an angle sprite because, sorry, not an angle sprite, an angle variable, because we're going to check the angle that you come in at. Because if you're pointing off to the side, if you're tilted to the sides, then you wouldn't be able to successfully land on the ship. So if it's too far pointed to the side, we will make it crash, we'll make it explode. But if it's between a certain angle, if it's pretty much straight up, then you will be able to. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable called angle, and then we're going to add some new code. So we're going to set angle to the direction. So the direction is whatever the current direction the rocket sprite is pointing in. And we're going to say if touching ship, then we're going to check if the angle is okay or not. So let me show you how to do this. So I'm going to click on the Falcon. Oh, actually, is this adding to the ship? Or let me just check. So yeah, this is code we're adding to the rocket. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the variable. So I'm going to go into the variables toolbox and click on make a variable and type in angle, A-N-G-L-E. Oh, no, wrong one. There we go. Angle. Click on OK. We have it here. And let me check. So we're going to, inside the forever block, we're going to set angle to the direction of the rocket ship. So we're going to get a set angle. Oh, let me find the code. So it's going inside here. So set angle 2 and into the motion toolbox. And I think right down the bottom of this, yeah, you have a direction. So this is the current direction of the, oh, let me do it this way. So when I drag in direction, I'm going to drag it in and put it in the set angle 2. So that's the current direction of the rocket. So if I drag the rocket up here, I'll click on stop. So drag the rocket up here, you'll see the direction is 27. And if I change that, that changes the number, the direction number. And that number of the direction is stored in here, which we're saving into this angle variable. We probably actually don't need to use this, create an angle variable, because it's already stored in this direction block, but we're going to do it this way anyway. Okay, so then we're going to say if, so we'll get an if then else, sorry, no, just an if then, and we're going to say if touching ship. So I'm going to actually move these two blocks out, because I know when I drag in the if then, it's going to try and put those in. So I'm going to move them out for a second. I'm going to go into the, let me drag this across, the control, or into the control toolbox and get an if then, and that's going to go underneath the set angle, and then I can drag these and put them underneath. So we can see them here, they're underneath. And what did we say? We're going to say in here is touching ship. So into the sensing toolbox and get a touching mouse pointer, put that as the condition, but click on the little white arrow. And let me show you that. Click on the white arrow and say touching ship. Back into my code. So now we're going to get the if then else. So this is where we check if the angle is greater than -5 degrees and the angle is less than 5 degrees. So we're checking two conditions in this if then else. If both of these conditions are true, so let me go here. So here, that's the kind of angle. So if you're in this angle, -5 and 5 between here, then you're good to land. If you're anywhere outside of those, we're going to make it explode. So we want an if then else. So this code is a little bit tricky in that you're adding an if then else inside an if then. So you just need to do it slowly and make sure you put it in the right place. If it goes into the wrong place, then just take your time, break it back out, and try again. So if then else. So we're going to check two conditions, and we're going to say they both need to be true. So we need an and operator, so an and block. So into the operators, we have and we have an or block. The and, but for both of them need to be true. So it's this and this need to be true. For the or, either one of them can be true to get into the code of the if then. So it can be condition 1 is true, or if condition 2 is true. So if one of them is false and one of them is true, then it'll still get into here. But if you use an and, both of them have to be true. So both of the conditions need to be true. So we're going to bring in the and that goes inside here, inside the little gap. And now we want a greater than and a less than. So what way did I do this? So greater than in the first one and less than in the second one. So where is the greater than and less than? Here we go. So greater than into the first box and less than into the second. And then we're going to get our angle variable. So again, we probably could have just put the direction block directly in here, but I'm going to use the angle variable block that we used, or that we created. So angle in here. So if it's greater than -5, and if it's less than 5. And what we're going to do, if it isn't there, we'll just say stop all, so that you've successfully landed and everything will freeze. So let me just check this code works. So I'm going to just land, and see, you can see the angle there is 0, so it landed successfully. The stop all was run. Let me bring this across. The stop all was run. Now let's test it and see. We can see the angle is -21. and we can see that it just went straight through the boat, and that's it. So it would have got into here because these conditions weren't both true, so it didn't get into here, it got into here, and we haven't added in the code here yet. We're going to add in the code here to make it explode. So if you want to go ahead and do that step, so it's a tricky enough step, so take your time. You're going to create an angle variable, and you're going to put that inside the forever block and set the angle to direction. Let me just mark my step as done. Then you're going to get an if-then block. You probably want to drag out the change y by -5 and switch costume to normal, and then drag in the if-then block and put it underneath the set angle, and then you can drag back in your change y by 5 and switch costume to normal. And in the if-then, you want to go into the sensing toolbox and get a touching mouse pointer block, but you'll change that. You put that inside the if-then and change it to be ship. So if touching ship, then again, you'll go into the control toolbox, and this time you'll get an if-then else, and that goes inside the if-then. So if touching ship, then. So if we are touching the ship, basically what we're doing, we're going to check the angle. If the angle is good, we'll say stop all. If the angle is not good, then we're going to do the explosion, which we'll do in I think the next step. So in the if then else, you want to go into the operators and get an and that goes inside, and then you want to get a greater than and a less than. Into the variables toolbox, you get an angle block, and that goes inside the greater than. And so if angle is greater than -5, change that to -5. Get another angle block for the variable and put it inside the less than. So if angle is less than 5, then, and then finally into the control toolbox and get a stop all, and that goes inside the if then. So if angle is greater than -5 and it's less than -5, you've landed successfully. Let me see if I can do it. Like, there we go. Angle was 3, so that means it was greater than -5 and it was less than 5. So the stop all happened. Okay, so how are we doing? Okay, brilliant. So 10 coders. I think good few people are working ahead of me, and that's brilliant. So well done. So I'm going to actually move on now to the explosion, because I'm just looking at the time. We've got 12 minutes left. So what I'm going to try and do is get this explosion done, and then we'll do the draw for the microbit, and I'll leave you all just to continue working through the project. Okay, so for the explosion, what we're going to do is, you can see it's speeded up here, but basically we're going to create 3 new costumes for the rocket ship, and we're going to add in rockets, but flames into each one, getting larger and larger as we go along. And then we're going to add in we're going to create a block called explode, and we're going to make it cycle through or work or show each one of those costumes as the explosion gets larger, and it'll just wait a small amount of time. And then we're going to use that explode block for if you didn't get the angle right. Okay, so I'm going to do this quickly enough. You can take your time and do a little bit more time, but I'll talk you through how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to use the normal costume here. I'm going to duplicate it once. It's called normal 2, but I'm going to call that explode 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put so using the paint tool, the paintbrush, I think I was calling that the tool brush earlier on. The paintbrush, I'm going to just draw some red flames, a little bit of orange, and a little bit of yellow. So that's my first explosion costume. I'm then going to duplicate that. Oh, sorry, I wasn't showing you the full screen. I'm going to duplicate that, so I've now got explode 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in more yellow, more orange. So just make them go out a bit further, a bit more. and more importantly, some more red, like so. And then again, I'm going to duplicate and make the red go out further. So I'm kind of doing this quite fast. You can maybe put in a little bit more detail, and I'll just do a bit more of the orange as well. Okay, so now I have my explode 1, my explode 2, and my explode 3. And I'm going to go back into my code. I'm going to go into the My Blocks toolbox. I'm going to click on Make a Block. And in here, I'm going to type in explode. We're not going to pass in any inputs to it. It's just a block on its own called explode. And you will see that it creates a define explode block. And it also creates an explode block in your toolbox. So I'm going to just drag this into a little bit of space. And it's simple enough what we want to do. We want to go into the Looks toolbox, and we're going to say switch costume 2, and in here we'll say explode 1. Then into the control toolbox and get a wait 1 second and put that underneath and change that to 0.25. And then quite simply, I'm just going to duplicate these 2 blocks twice, like that. Can I scroll up a little bit? So I have them in like that. And then I say, so explode 1, explode 2, and explode 3. So switch costume to explode 1, switch costume to explode 2, and then switch costume to explode 3. I can get rid of the bottom wait seconds, and I want to put in a stop all here. And then I want to actually use my explode block. So this part here is just defining, you're just saying what happens when you use your explode block. So we haven't used it yet, and what we want to do is we want to put it inside the if else. So if your angle is not correct, then we want it to explode. So let me see if this works. So click on the green flag, it goes back to normal. Let's get a bad angle and land it. And you can see there the explosion happens. So if you want to go ahead and do that, I'll give you a few minutes to do that, and in the meantime I'm going to just get ready for the microbit draw. Oh, actually there is another step that I would like to get done, so I might try and get that done before we finish. That's crashing into the sea. We might get the fuel done in the code along in the video, but I will get the crashing in the sea. But in the meantime, I'm going to get the coders for the microbit ready. So if you all want to continue working away on step number 11, or whatever step you're currently working on. So how many coders do I have? I have 23 have completed up to step number, is that 10? Okay, I've 23 coders have completed up to step number 10, so I think we'll take those, but I'll give a couple of minutes just to make sure we get everybody. Some people do log in and they don't actually complete the project, and I have them in my list here, but I'm only going to take the coders that have completed up to a certain point so that I know that you have worked through the code along. Okay. Okay, so we've got 6 minutes left, so I'm going to give another minute just to finish step number 11. So to give you time for step number 11, I can see 22 coders have completed it already. And then we're going to, oh sorry, step number 12 I should say. Is it step number 12? Oh no, step number 11. So step number 12, we're going to make it crash into the sea, which is an easy enough step to do. All we're going to do is we're just going to detect if the rocket ship touches the green of the sea, and if it does, we'll just say explode. So this is the value of creating your own blocks, which in programming would be called your own functions. So you define your function, you define your custom block called explode, and you say what should happen when you run the explode, when you run the function explode. And then anywhere you want to run that code, you can just drag in your block explode. You don't have to repeat it, all the steps of it again. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this in Scratch, and then we'll do the draw. So inside the code where we have the checking the angle, so and inside inside the forever, what we want to do is we want to put another if then after the touching ship. So not inside. So let me go into control here. So not inside. So if I drag in an if then, you know, we don't want to go inside anywhere here. We want to go after the if touching ship. It's kind of hard to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break out. Oh, let me drag this across because you're not seeing what I was seeing there. So I'll show you again. Put that back. So when I drag in the if then, it's kind of hard to get it. I want to get it after the if touching ship, and it's going to try and put these inside. So what I'm going to do is just break these off, and then I'm going to drag it in. So it's after, it's inside the forever, but after if touching ship. And put those at the bottom again. And in the condition, what we're going to do is go into sensing, get a touching color block, put that in, and we'll use the eyedropper tool to go and get the green of our sea. Lovely. And then easy enough, we just go and get the explode block and put it inside the if then. So let me check that this works. Click on the green flag. So I'm going to just purposely land it in the sea, and we can see the explosion happens. So if you don't land it on the ship perfectly, within the angles, it's going to explode. Or if you touch the sea, it's going to explode. So I'm going to mark that step as done. And get a Space Series stars. Okay, so while you all are continuing to work away, I'm just going to pull up the list here of the coders that worked away today on the project, and we'll do the draw for the microbit. So I have 25 coders have completed up to step number 10. Maybe I'll go back a few steps because there might be people still working. So let me go back to step number 9. Get it just because I know there's quite a lot of code in this. There's quite a lot of code in this project, and I want to make sure. Oh, it's still 26. Okay, we'll go with that. So I'll drag the 26 in so we can see. So here are the coders that are going to be in the draw today. So from Adam B all the way down to Vinya. 25. No, wait, I thought there was 26. Let me get them all. Sorry, I just don't want to leave anyone out. So I'm going to delete you and put in this. Yeah, now I have 26. So someone else we got in there. So we're going to do the draw between these 26 coders. As usual, so we've done quite a number of these draws in each of our code-alongs, and a good few of the coders have, here, let me switch to here. A good few of the coders have won microbits already. So I think it's only fair that we get new people. So somebody who hasn't won a microbit before. So if it is somebody who has won a microbit before, we'll give you some other prize. I've got lots of different, we've lots of different pieces of kit that we can send you out. So we'll send you out something else, and we'll just do the draw again until we get someone new. Okay, so let me go back to here. We will add in a character. Oh, we'll just, yeah, here we'll add in a character. We will get who will we choose? The Earth. I think that makes sense for a rocket project. Okay, so for the Earth, we're going to say when green flag clicked, think for 2 seconds, and then we're going to say the lucky coder is, number, because we're not saying the name, we're just saying the number, and pick between 1 and 26. Let me just check. 26, yep, 1 and 26. Okay, so here we go. The lucky coder is number 19. So who is number 19? 19 is Piper 2021. So I don't think Piper 2021 has won before, so well done to you, Piper. So we'll send out an email and we'll send out a microbit to you. So well done. So we didn't get to do the very last step, which was the fuel. So in here, I'll just keep, I'm not going to actually program it. I'm going to let you go ahead and do it yourselves. But it's what you're going to do is you're going to create a variable called fuel. And you're going to set that to 60. And then when you press anything, so when you press the up arrow, you're going to change fuel by -1. When you press the left arrow, change fuel by -1. So you're using your fuel. You're using your fuel as you use the rocket booster. But then you need to check. You should only let the player control the rocket ship if they have fuel. So you're going to need to add in this AND block from the operator's toolbox. And then you want to say, so you're going to say if up arrow is pressed and the fuel is greater than 0, then you can make it move up. Same thing for moving left. If you press the left arrow and you have some fuel left, so fuel greater than 0, then you can go ahead and move left, and then we'll use some fuel, and the same thing for the right arrow. So it just adds in a little bit extra to the game. So it's not just, at the moment, you can just use as much fuel as you want, or move it around as much as you want. But by adding in the fuel, it really adds to the game, because there's a sense of urgency that you need to get it correct. So I would recommend that you do go ahead and do this step here, step number 13, which is the fuel. We've also put in some other steps, just some YouTube videos on SpaceX flights explained, and we actually there's another video there or two of SpaceX flights and them actually landing on, if you jump out of the way, Elon, of them actually landing on the ship. I'm trying to see if I can get the exact moment. Yeah, here we go. So they're really, really cool. These Falcon 9 rockets, and that's why we wanted to make a cool project for them. So well done, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it today. Try and do the fuel step, because it really does add an extra step or an extra bit of challenge to the project. And for anyone that's, your friends, your family that are playing the game, it really is challenging. It gets quite addictive. Just trying to get it landing on that ship. We're going to do more code along. So again, next week we're just going to do it at the same time. So we'll do at 9:30 in the morning for the 6 to 9 year olds, and then for the 10+ year olds we'll do that at 11 a.m. in the morning. So hope you have a lovely week, a nice weekend, and we'll see you soon. Bye.